falling for all the things the world offers and having success, though. I always had nice trucks, and I was talented enough as I was amateur rodeoing till I got into pro rodeo to always, even when I was in high school, to win enough money to have nice trucks, nice things. So, I was being blessed even way back then, living for the wrong reason. But as I got started pro rodeoing, was my first few years I made the national finals, but I was not a very nice person. I was having success in rodeo, but the mornings I would wake up after partying, I would have the worst feeling inside, and it's just, God was just convicting me from stuff I had done, the day before, night before, just telling me. I knew it was wrong. He was telling me in here it was wrong, but did I do anything about it for years? No, I did not. Seemed like everything was all rosy with me. I had everything I wanted. Trucks, trailers, horses, A lot of people knew who I was. I thought that was a big thing back then, but, all that stuff doesn't really matter to me anymore. But I started dating my wife now. I started dating her, about 11 years ago, as I was rodeoing back then, and we started going out, and I got to know her and her family, and there was something about her other than her beautiful looks. There was something about her that really drew me to her, other than her looks and being a nice person. And it was their love for the Lord. And as I met her family, I started going to their house, having dinner with them, and I'd noticed Bibles laying around, and they'd want to pray before dinner, and that really kind of woke me up and kind of made me be real conscious of what's going on and really what's important to them and what was the center of their life, bringing them joy and happiness. It was the love of God. God was the center of their life, and God was drawing me to her and her family to ultimately, bring me out of the world and misery I was living in. So, we dated for a couple years, and I can remember. Then we eventually got married during the National Finals Rodeo 8 years ago, and right after we got home, after our first year, after we got married out there, we came home, and right after that, right 3 or 4 days before Christmas, there was a tragic wreck there where we lived in Weatherford, Texas. There was 4 teenage girls that got hit by a drunk driver, and they were from 15 to 17 years old, these 4 girls were, and one of them was my wife's second cousin. It was just a horrible thing, and we had went to 3 of the 4 girls' funerals because my wife and her family knew these girls that had gotten tragically killed. And her cousins was the last one, and the same pastor preached at 3 of those 4 funerals, and the 3 that I went to. And by the time he got to the last funeral, he was pretty much drained and worn out. And we were sitting in there, and then he just looked at everyone and said, I think God is really wanting me to ask everyone here is where are you in your life with God? Is He number one in your life? Do you not have a relationship with Him? Because this right here could happen to you when you leave here. Who knows? Only, we don't know when something's going to happen to us. Are you okay with God? And when he said that, it's like someone lit a fire in me. I can't explain the feeling inside of me that was going on. And at the end of the funeral, he looked at everyone and said, okay, I want you to pray silently with me, and if you have never prayed the prayer of salvation, I want you to pray with me quietly. And I did it right then for the very first time, and there was a feeling going on inside of me I can't explain that has never been there before. And at the end of the prayer, he told everyone that prayed that prayer for the first time to go to your church the following Sunday and get up and go down in front of the congregation and make a confession and accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And we went to a church where we had been going prior to this happening, and I didn't even tell my wife what had happened to me. But once, and even before the accident happened, the church we were going to, at the end of the church service, the pastor would give a hymn of invitation at the end of each service. I would get so nervous and my hands would go to sweating because there's something going on inside of me that it was really, really affecting me, and it was just God speaking to me, trying to tell me to, let go of the garbage and let me save you. And after we went to the funeral, we went to church the next Sunday, and I got up at the end of church, and it was probably the hardest thing I'd ever had to do at the time, was to get up and go down in front of that church and accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior, because I had a lot of pride and just, I thought I was whoever I thought I was. But once I made myself get up and go down there, we just started bawling, and my wife came down with me, and I can tell you from that moment forward, it's like the weight of the world has been lifted off of my shoulders. My mind works differently. It's just God has transformed me. I am living proof from being a horrible person into a guy that wants to help people, to love on people, and just want people to do the right thing. And that's just what God's done in my life, and He can do it. And He wants each and every one of us to come to Him and just lay it all down at His feet and say, God, just take all of the stuff the world offers away from me and just let me try to serve you. And then that's what's happened to me. I want to share my experience with people, because I don't want anyone to be left behind. Especially a lot of the people I've known throughout the years that I even used to party with. I still see the guys and people still falling and doing this stuff that I did with them back then, and I just want so desperately to go tell them, hey, please put all that down. Don't be drawn in by the booze and the partying and all that. It's not worth it. When that's all gone, what do you have? You don't have anything. If something did happen to you, the alternative is way worse than any of us can explain. So that's, and as I've been saved, and this is, it's been 8 years now that I've been a Christian and become a complete different person. My rodeo career has still prospered. I'm a couple years ago, one of my highlights of my career is winning a national finals rodeo. That happened 2 years ago, and all the things that happened throughout my career, they've all happened the way God wanted them to happen, the time that He wanted them to happen, so He can let me use my accomplishments and be able to share with people of how God has affected my life and my career. And it's evident. The good things that have happened in my life, they've all come from God. I've been very blessed and fortunate throughout the years to have corporate sponsorship. God has brought people in my life that have, one after another, have financially played a part in my life for me and my family to supply us with things I never thought I'd be able to have. And it's all God. It isn't me. It isn't my name. It isn't the accomplishments. I think I'm almighty and all that. It isn't that. It's God.